All right. Let me see. Okay, so I am recording. Like I said, I am coming on here to talk to you guys about the bar report and how you can use that to set really specific goals for your business for this month. The first thing I would suggest is either have out your planner or have out a piece of paper or something, because you need to write these goals down, because you're not going to remember them on the 15th of the month when you're kind of like self-checking yourself to see like how you're progressing towards those goals, because these goals are going to be more than just a PRV goal. Everybody can easily look at PRV, know that it's the fall, and realize that you want to set your goals, right? So get out something where you can write it down, because you definitely need to be looking at it. And I'm going to write mine down as I work through this, because I am doing this with you guys. So the bar report, make sure you mute yourself when y'all pop on, just so that it's not distracting. So the bar report is under your workstation. If you have the ability to pull that up while you're listening, that would probably be really helpful. I will share mine, because I mean, I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I don't care if you see my numbers, but you are going to need yours to look at what we're looking at. So this report used to only be available to directors and above, but here recently they made it available to all consultants. And one thing that you do need to know about the bar report is that it will not update for August until like the 10th of the month. So it's going to update at the same time that like promotions run. Okay, so if you go and pull yours, yours is still going to say July. So I'm going to share my screen and pull. I'm just going to pull mine up. I'm going to start over and like go to reporting. So you go to reporting, you click view sales reports. Once you open up your sales report, you're going to see this business analysis report. And this is a year-over-year view. If you're brand new, you're obviously not going to have as much data as I do. If you are not brand new, then you're going to have lots of things to look at. So if you have been with Scentsy for a while, what I want you to look at is I want you to look at your September from last year. Okay, I want you to look at your September from last year if you've been with us. If you have not been with us, I just want you to look at July, like your most previous month. If you are that brand new to where you don't even have anything there, you just look back at what your performance tab says. Okay, so I'm going to pull mine up. I exported to Excel. Blair, I don't know what is going on if yours isn't working. You know, you always have some crazy situation going on with that. It may be the device that you're using though. Okay, so last year, for instance, my PRV for September was 3,528. Okay, so I want everybody to go ahead and set your PRV goal for September. Type that in the chat box for me. The reason why I'm looking at mine from last year is because I'm not competing with anybody else but myself. I want to beat myself. Okay, and I know that I can do more than what I did last year. And I also know that I have been really amping up where my PRV is in the first place. So type that in the chat box. And then I also want you to write it down somewhere, so we know where we're at. Okay. The next thing I want you to look at, if you are a leader, which means you have people on your team. If you don't, then you're still going to want to increase this, but it's just going to be a little different for you. So last year, my TWV, which is my team volume for September, was 64,373. And my group volume was 162,168. Now, if you are a leader and you have directors underneath you, this is where it gets a little difficult to set those TWV and those, basically it gets difficult to set the TWV because you always want to be building more directors. So even though I do really want super strong TWV, I also want to be building directors. And once you build directors, that TWV is going to go into GWV. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what my TWV was for last month, which I already know what that was. It was like 74 something. I'm still going to set my TWV goal to be 80,000, but that's because I always want to have a super strong team. Okay. And then my GWV, if you are a leader, even if you just have one person on your team, that is the number that I would set big audacious goals for. Because if you don't have directors underneath you, your TWV, your GWV are the exact same things. You want to set big goals because it's the fall. And directors, you guys know what I mean with building those numbers. Last month, we did not quite, we were at like 250,000. So I'm going to set my GWV goal for 325,000. We have never had a $300,000 month, but I'm going to claim it. Okay. Now, this is the part that gets really, this is where we really want to look at being very specific. Okay. So if you were with us last September, this column is new recruits. So last September, I sponsored 9 people. Okay. Now, I will say that last year was a little different because our fall catalog didn't come out until September. So that is sort of going to be a little bit of a transition. And I believe we had a join special that month, but I'm not going to make an excuse for that. I still need to beat myself, right? And we're in an incentive period. So I need to set a goal that's going to help me beat myself for this incentive and for September. So I'm going to set a goal for how many people I want to sponsor in September to beat my previous goals. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my August and my September. And between August and September last year, I sponsored 11. Okay. Last month, I sponsored 5. And then, yeah, in August, I sponsored 5. July, I sponsored 1, which was the start of our incentive period. So how I'm going to look at it is I want to beat the August and September. So that was 11, 5, 6. So my September goal is going to be 6 new teamies because I want to beat myself from last year because I'm just like switching my numbers, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to say that I want to sponsor 6. And that's because I want to beat myself and because I always want to be blessing people with the opportunity. This year makes it a little bit different with comparing it from year over year, just because our catalog switch changed a little bit. So that's sort of why I'm adjusting in that realm of it. Okay, the next thing I want you guys to look at is your active frontline. Okay, your active frontline is always going to be a huge indicator of a strong business. Okay, if you are not continuously building your frontline, your business is going to suffer, and it's going to be really difficult for you to get paid at title because statistically, only about half of your total number of frontline will be active, statistically. So if you only have 3 frontline total, statistically, you should only count on 1.5 of those people to be active. And you don't want to have a killer month where you have 4,000 PRV, you have one team member that has 200, and you can't promote to star because you don't have your active frontline. You don't ever want to depend on someone else for you to hit your goals. You should always be bringing people in. You should always be helping them rise. So if you look here with my active frontline, you can see that it has been going up, and September was my biggest month out of all of 2019 for active frontline. Okay. But then when I come and I look at 2020, it's risen, but I've still had months that are not so great. Okay. And when it comes to active frontline, we have to help people get there. We can't just depend on them, and we can't work their businesses for them, but it's super important for you to be looking at how many total frontline you have and what statistically it should look like. Okay. So my goal for active frontline this month is going to be 55 active frontline, because that is going to be the highest that I've ever had is my goal, because the highest I've ever had is 51. Last month in August, I had 50, and I plan to sponsor more people, and I want to get them active. Plus, I sponsored people last month that have not thrown their launch party yet. So I'm going to set a goal of having 55 active frontline. But that's got to be intentional. You're not just going to get there by never checking in on your team, never doing those things. Okay. So active frontline is a super important goal. This report right here doesn't tell you how many total frontline you have, but I would also suggest setting a goal of what you want your total frontline to be, like the total number. And then if you look at what you actually have, definitely set your goal for active frontline to be at least 50% of that. Because if you're not averaging 50% of your total active that you have, that's definitely something that we need to work on. Now, you can't make people work their business. So if you've had people join that are never doing anything or that are not going to do anything, don't waste your time with them. Move on and find new people, but know that that's why we say that statistically only about half will be active, because we know not everybody's going to join and want to work this as a business. They may just join and want some extra cash. They may just want to do the $200 every 4 months or whatever, and that's okay. All right. Now, this next thing that I am going to look at is something that really, it 100% changed my view on my business when I went to Star Director Summit Approach. They had printed our bar report out for us, and we were going through it with our business analysts and really looking at our business very, very specifically. So up here, I'm scrolling up so you can see it. Here are my promotions for my team. Okay. So that's just my people that I'm their director. And then here are my promotions for my group. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm actually just going to look at all of just 2019, because when I went to this whatever it's called, the training, I think I only had through, I guess I went in 2019, right? So I went in April, but April's numbers weren't pulled yet. So I had from March of 2019 up. Okay. And so when I looked at that, I saw that my team promotions to superstar consult or to star consultant for the whole year of 2017 was only 7. Okay. And then the whole year, or from 2019 I had had 2 at that point. So 2-star promotions, no superstar consultant promotions. And I was wondering why I wasn't promoting to superstar director. Well, therein lied my problem. Therein lied my problem. How in the world can I expect to promote to the highest level in the company if I'm not promoting star and superstar consultants? And that was a me problem. That was a me thing. That was where I needed to self-reflect. So if I'm looking at lead promotions at that point, I'd only had 2. And I mean, yes, we're talking January, February, March, which aren't typically huge promotion months, but that's a me thing. That's not a them thing. That's a me not building leaders thing. And that's when I finally decided that, okay, you girls got to start doing coaching calls. You girls got to start promoting people. And so after I left Star Director Summit Approach, you can see, look, I had 6 stars, 2 superstars, 3 stars, 3 stars, a superstar, a director, 4 leads, or 4 leads, 2 stars, a superstar, 9 leads, 4 superstar, 4 stars. Okay. So like I specifically went and was very, very intentional about what I needed to do to get to superstar director. I was feeling sorry for myself that I wasn't there, but when I go back and I look at what I'm doing, I wasn't building leaders and I wasn't being intentional. So when you look at your bar report, if you have been with us for a while or whatever, I want you to reflect. Look at those promotions. If you don't, I mean, and I don't want anybody to look at mine and compare themselves, because that's not just me. When it says 9 lead promotions, that doesn't mean it was just my 9 frontline. It was anybody that I'm their director. But we know that we always have to be teaching people to rise and to build leaders if that's what they really want. So a couple of months ago, when the other SSDs and I are setting goals, we're saying, okay, well, I need to promote 5 certifieds. I need to promote 5 lead consultants. But it's not just pulling a number out of your tail. You have to be intentional with it. So that's why you have to look at your bar report and be specific. And the way that I do this, which I'm not going to do, I'm going to show you my form. The way that I do this, and I'm not going to show you my form because I'm not going to put people's names out there for you guys to, and for the world to like see, but I have these forms called Frontline Focus. And remember, Scentsy is always rewarding behaviors that they want repeated. So there's a reason why you're getting incentive points, not only for sponsoring somebody and then promoting to certified, but also helping them get to lead and star, because you're building leaders and they get the same thing. But it doesn't happen on accident, because you can go work your business and work your business and work your business. But if you're not building leaders and you're not bringing people with you, it doesn't matter. And that's exactly what I was doing. And as a leader, I have to self-reflect on that. And I do know that the last 2 months, I haven't been doing as many coaching calls, but it was because I had to get myself and my personal business and my life together. Because if you guys know anything about me, my life since March is 110% different. In March, I had 0 plan of staying home and not teaching this year. No idea. So everything about my business has had to change, and I had to put myself first. So when it comes to the frontline focus, this says essential to certified. So this is my frontline. Okay. I am going to write down my people that are not yet essential to certified, and I'm going to write down the specific things on here. This is in my Google Drive. I've done numerous trainings on it. Okay. And then the next what I'm going to do is launch for lead. So these are going to be people that are certified consultants that are not yet leads, that are my frontline. Okay. And just because they are even not yet certified, that doesn't mean that they can't go on here as well. Because we all know that you have people on your team that are probably very hungry and want to learn. Okay. And there's different things at the top. The reason why I go through and I'm very specific is all because of intentionality. These are the people that I want to work with. These are the people that I'm going to be scheduling calls with, because if you teach your team to work with their frontline first, then it's going to trickle down forever and ever and ever. But we have to teach that from the front. So then that's launch for lead, and then shoot for star, superstar sprint, and drive for director. Okay. But I'm going to get these names by pulling my frontline report. Okay. I'm not going to go and pull that on here because I can't blur people's names and I can't post anything that has people's numbers and stuff. But I will. Vive says, honestly, V, I would chat support and see what they say. I know with some of the business analyst reporting and stuff, I know that with the way the workstation's being and they're upgrading a lot of systems, it's been a little wonky. So if you want to pull just your frontline, click on view my performance. And like I said, I'm not going to show you because I can't post this if I do. You're going to click Start Leadership Report. Once you go to Start Leadership Report, you're going to click, there's a little blue button underneath the month, and you're going to click you're going to click where it says Additional Filter Options. Okay. And then what you're going to do is down at where it says the volume criteria, where it says level, you're going to put a 1 in your minimum and a 1 in your maximum. And then you're going to click Run Report. Because that level, by putting the 1s there, that's going to tell you just the people that are your frontline. Okay. And then you can actually save that report. So if you're on your computer where it says Save Report, it's in purple. You can name that Frontline Report. And then it'll show up on the left under Saved Leadership Reports. So now when I want to pull a report that's just the people that I've personally sponsored that are just my frontline, I can click on that saved report and it'll just pull my people. Okay. Now, if anybody knows of any programs that I can use that will blur information like that out, I will absolutely do a training on that a little bit more. I just can't do it and show people's information. Okay. So for your goals, you need PRV, TWV/GWV. You need the number of new teamies. I really hate saying recruits because I don't feel like we recruit. Recruiting and sponsoring, I feel like, are two different things. If you're just recruiting, you're just bringing people in and then you're not really supporting them. If you're sponsoring them, you are their person. You are helping them. You are doing all the things to sponsor them, okay? You need an active frontline goal. I would also suggest finding out exactly how many total frontline you have and upping that to a specific goal. So for instance, at the beginning of 2020, my goal was to have a minimum of 100 total frontline. And that's something that you always are going to be chasing because normally coronavirus isn't going on and they are canceling people. So I'm definitely going to up that goal because we know that once cancellations do come back into place, some of those people will leave. Okay. And then after that, I would suggest setting a goal for promotions. That can be a personal promotion. that can be a help your team members personally promote. So I am going to set a goal for get 5 of my team members to certified, because I sponsored 5 people and not all of them are certified yet. And then my goal for this month is to sponsor 6 more. So I need to set that goal. I'm not going to tell you what my goal for lead star superstar is yet, because I need to look at who was close. So what I'm going to do is go in my workstation from last month. I am going to send it by GWV. I'll look at that. I'm also going to send it by PRV. I'm also going to send it by team numbers. I'm going to be looking at numerous different things to look at that and to figure out who it is that I really want to look at and work at. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? So Brooke, the cancellation policy is going back into effect in October, I think. So Superstar directors sometimes have things that are NDA, and I don't want to talk about that because I can't remember what was actually posted and what was not. So October, and I'll have to look at all of that. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful. Like I said, the bar report doesn't update until the 10th, but I would still suggest looking at, if you've been with Scentsy for a year, look at last year. You better be a better you. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. We all get stuck in that. I do too. Trust me, I get stuck in the comparison game too. Do not look at somebody else's success and think it's your failure, because that's not true. Her success or his success.
Love you, Bob.
Love you too. Bye.
It's not because, like, somebody else's success is not your failure. You need to be a better you and beat yourself, not anyone else. Okay. So these are called, I think, frontline focus launch forms. Some people don't like to do this because they don't want to write it all down. They feel like it's all in the workstation. Yes, it's in the workstation. But if you're like me, I'm squirrely. I get on the computer and start looking at different things. And a lot of times I have to walk away from my computer to actually work on my business so I don't start shopping. And so I don't start doing things that aren't what I need to do. Okay. Anybody have any other questions?